Hi, I'm Shani. I'm the director of Shani Fitness. I've decided that I'm going to do a few videos that are just having a basic talk about various subjects. I've been a holistic lifestyle coach for quite a while now, and I've dealt with a lot of issues with a lot of different types of people. It's something that I'm really passionate about, and so I've actually opened this up to decide to give people a bit of a insight into my two bobs worth on a few different issues, whatever it is they want to talk about. So on my Facebook page, on Shani J Fitness Facebook page, I've asked people what they want to hear me rant about. One of the things that has come up is about educating children and educating parents about using the correct terminology for body parts. I love this topic. I think this topic is just phenomenal, and I had a really extensive conversation with a person about it recently, and it's something that I do talk about regularly with people. A lot of the people that I attract and a lot of the people that I come across are mums and parents, as I am, and these things are really important to everybody. And I think there is such a stigma around the correct use of body parts. It's ridiculous. I have a vagina, and I'll be damned if I'm going to call it anything else. My daughter has a vagina, and I'll be damned if she's going to call it anything else. My son has a penis and thinks that it's the greatest thing in the entire world. So why shouldn't we think that we have the greatest thing in the entire world as well? It is just so silly. The times are gone where you have to hide and pretend that these things don't exist. If we didn't have these things, we wouldn't have life. Our entire world would disintegrate if we didn't have sexual organs. They are such an integral, important part of who we are as a society, as a human being, as a woman, as a man, that to pretend like there's something wrong with them is hideous to me. One of the big things that I think is really important, and it's about body awareness for children. In my opinion, to imply to a child, whether directly or indirectly, that they shouldn't be calling it what it is, means there's something to be ashamed of. If there's something to be ashamed of, that means there is a part of themselves they cannot love. Especially if, put it this way, if I was to teach my daughter that I don't love my vagina, then that means I don't love a part of myself. There's a part of myself that's wrong with me. Also, there is something that she came from that means that that's not allowed to connect either. So she has to be ashamed of where she came from, in a sense. The other aspect as well is that it's often men who have an issue with this kind of language. They don't want to say it, they don't want to hear it, they especially don't want to hear anything about their daughters to have anything to do with that. And one thing that I think is really interesting, and it strikes me as a little bit naive, is to think that as a man, as a daddy, as your daughter's first male love, that's true, you're her first male love, she's going to emulate your relationship in future relationships. And if you imply to her that there is something wrong with her vagina, you're telling her you don't love her vagina. So what do you think is going to happen when another man comes along? Think about it, daddies. When another man comes along and loves her vagina, what do you think she's going to do there? I mean, it's not rocket science. If she has a body issue and someone else comes along, whether they're genuine or more than likely not, and tells her it's great, she's going to go, awesome, that feels really good. So if that's the kind of message you want to teach your daughter, well, you're going the right way about it. We don't seem to have a problem with boys talking about their body parts. They're fine. And, you know, men growing up, adolescents, a lot of men that I've come in contact with all of my life, I don't find it offensive in any way, but they talk about their cocks and their dicks and all this stuff, and that's all well and good and it's fine. The difference with that is that they're doing it in a way that masculates them. They're talking about it in a way that it is, it's even more. It's not less. They're not telling you that, oh, my penis is bad, therefore I can't give it its name. They're saying, I've named it, and I love it, and therefore I'm going to give it a tougher name than a penis. And that's the general, society's way of separating men and women all over again. But so men use those words to make their penis even better, which doesn't offend me in any way. I couldn't care less. However, what word is used when people give vagina a slang? It's not a nice term. It starts with a C and it ends with a T. And that's not used in a way to prop us up. That's used in a way to degrade us and to degrade other people. Now, I've got to tell you, I'm not particularly offended by that word. I used to be. However, I'm at a point in my life now and at a point in my journey where I feel very, very, very stable and whole with myself. And a word isn't going to offend me. It's just a word. I really don't care. Labels are just labels. However, I'm not talking about, when it comes to girls and talking about their body parts and boys and talking about their body parts, I'm not particularly talking about the aspect of, giving it a cute little name and referring to it in a way that is loving. For me, it would be no different than, I'm not saying that you can't call a vagina something else if it's done in a way that is the same as I would call my lover honey or babe. It's a term of endearment. That's different. But if you actually cannot say the word vagina, penis, whatever, there's an issue there. If your children are not allowed to use a word that describes an actual part of them, you're telling them there is something wrong with them. You're also making it hard for them to talk about if something was to be done to that part of them. Because if they're not allowed to talk about it when it's good, they're sure as hell not going to tell you about it when something is wrong. That's my 2 bobs worth. Please, I'd love to have another discussion about this. I really think that it's important. Thank you for listening.